Hello everybody, Dylan here. Today we are going to be doing a theory, a Sonic theory. What if I told you Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was actually going to be the game to have a time travel plot instead of Sonic CD? If you're interested in this, we are going to talk about it today on DHT. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson so you understand where this theory is coming from. Back after Sonic 1 was released, both Sonic CD and Sonic 2 went in development at the same time. Originally, Sonic CD was going to be a recreation of Sonic 1, then it was going to be a port of Sonic 2, then they finally decided to make it its own thing. When it became its own thing though, it still took a lot of story aspects from Sonic 2, that mainly being the time travel mechanic. I'm going to be explaining to you how the time travel mechanic would work in Sonic 2, and you can see how very similar it is to the time travel mechanic and plot that got worked into Sonic CD. Now, since the exposition is out of the way, I can go on to the meat of this theory. While researching into this, I found a post on Sonic Retro, and this post laid out the basic idea of what this mechanic would be, and they even gave us maps of the islands, and these maps show us how the islands are affected by time. I've taken these and I'm going to try to connect the dots and talk about the changes the island goes through all the way back to the ancient past, all the way forward to Eggman's dream future that could be. Now, saying this in advance, there is no real explanation for these changes, so I'm going to be improvising and guessing a lot on these. Hopefully you find this theory to be interesting and entertaining either way it goes. First, we're going to be talking about the changes from the ancient past to the present. The island is settled and the changes happen slowly throughout time. This is a picture showing you the ancient island. You can see the monuments around. There's Hilltop, Blue Lake Zone, Olympus, Rock World Zone, the Warp Point, and the Tropical Plant Zone. And then we go into the island in the present. We can see that Hilltop was settled down and it becomes Green Hill Zone, the classic Sonic level. And yes, Green Hill Zone was going to appear in the original Sonic 2. The greenery of Blue Lake Zone is gone, and now all that's left are the trees, so it's renamed to Wood Zone. Olympus crumbles, and now the only thing that it is known for is the ocean winds you feel there, which is probably how the island corroded to begin with, and now it's renamed to Ocean Wind Zone. Some of the greenery near the mountain dried up, turning it into a field destroyed by sandstorms. This would be known as Sand Shower Zone. Tropical Plant Zone is renamed and settled to become the city of Metropolis. We then see that Eggman will invade the island and starts to terraform it into his empire. So we're going to look at the changes from the present to the destroyed present, so we can begin to see the effect of Eggman's invasion has on the environment. And this is actually a really good sign to show you that Sonic is an environmental game, because you actually get to see slowly how Eggman destroys South Island. This is the island before Eggman invades it. This is the island after Eggman invades it, and what would be named the destroyed present. Green Hill Zone is dried up and partially destroyed, and it becomes Dust Hill Zone, the scrapped level that we've seen concept art for before. The woods and the land that held them are destroyed, and now the stretch of water is called Oil Ocean due to how polluted the water is thanks to Eggman dumping chemicals into the water. A new mountain forms in the shallow water and it's called Rock World Zone. I'm going to provide a simple study showing you that the collision of tectonic plates can actually form mountains. So I know it looks weird that a mountain popped up here, but it is possible. Tectonic plates, when they rub together, they can make land masses form, and that's actually how mountains form. If Eggman speeds up to terraforming, he actually can create mountains, hypothetically. The city of Metropolis is destroyed, and Sonic gets sent to the future, where he gets to see how bad things will go if he doesn't stop Eggman in the present. Now, with Sonic out of Eggman's way, he can build his dream utopia. Let's see how he achieves this. Eggman decides to build the chemical plant over Dust Hill Zone so he can can dump its chemicals into the water as soon as they are made. The land that was destroyed from Wood Zone is re-terraformed so Eggman could build his casino zone where the forest once stood. Rock World and the destroyed city Metropolis are converted into Eggman's new headquarters, Genocide City, which stretches halfway across the map. Now that we can see the effects time has on the island throughout Sonic 2, we can talk about how the plot probably would have played out. Sega never gave us 100% rundown on how the plot would have been, but they did give us something that'll help us piece it together. As you can see, this describes how the game would have worked, except this is from a much earlier point in the game's development. We can tell this is from earlier on because there is a time period called the medieval time. This time period never made it out of the concept phase, so I'm going to ignore this time period altogether and rework this to fit the new level layout. With that now added in, and we have our current level layout, I am going to try to tell you how the plot probably would have played out. Sonic starts in the present time and he is on his way to stop Eggman, same as always. We would go through all the levels in the present time, and when we reached the final level, we would see Eggman, and it would turn out that it's a trap. Eggman would activate his time machine and he would use it to send Sonic forward in time. Not too far, but just far enough so Sonic can see the damage that he is doing to the island. This is where the destroyed present part of the plot would start. This plot line would actually go on to be used in the Fleetway comics, where Eggman would send Sonic forward into the future where he had already taken over the world, and Sonic would have to start a band of freedom fighters to overthrow Eggman's rule. This shows that this plot line is a serious thing that Sega had considered because they felt that it was good enough to recycle it in another Sonic media. You would soon realize that the time machine didn't just send you into the future, but it also sent you back to the beginning of the map. And now Green Hill is looking a lot more like Sand Hill, or should I say Dust Hill. While you were gone, Eggman used his machines to completely dry out Green Hill, and now it's just a sandy wasteland known as Dust Hill. I believe that this plot line would actually be recycled into Sonic Forces, where we see with the power of the Phantom Ruby, Eggman also turns Green Hill into what Sonic would like to call Sand Hill. Sonic would keep on running through the destruction Eggman has caused to the island until eventually he finds the time machine. Sonic hops into it and he is hoping that he can go back in time and reverse what Eggman has done to his home. Sonic does not know how to work the time machine, however, so instead of going back a few months, he goes all the way back to the ancient past, and this would start the ancient part of the plot. Sonic looks at how beautiful everything is, and he admires how the island looked before anybody began to change it. Sonic eventually finds Eggman, however, because Eggman has tracked him back to the past to be sure Sonic wouldn't ruin his plans. And Eggman puts Sonic yet again in the time machine and launches Sonic into the far future, well after he has had time to build his empire. This would lead to our final act, the future. Before we begin to talk about the future and wrap this plot up, I actually want to talk about one more possible Sonic Forces reference. There was a level in the past called Wood Zone, and as we can see in Eggman's future, he converted Wood Zone into Casino Night Zone, and we can see a very similar thing start to happen in Sonic Forces, where he's turned the forest into Casino Forest. I think this is yet again another reference to the scrapped elements of Sonic 2. How coincidental is it that Eggman is converting a forest into a casino? And I'm sure if Eggman actually got to succeed in this, it would be another Casino Night Zone. And now, with that possible reference out of the way, we can wrap up this story. Sonic looks at the now mechanized island. He is disgusted by the pollution and marvels at the casinos in the cities. He knows this isn't right. He knows he needs to find Eggman to fix all the damage that he's caused. Sonic ends up fighting Eggman for the final time. This fight would probably be held in Genocide City, which would probably be renamed to Cyber City, since there were no plans for the Death Egg at this point in development from what I've seen. Sonic would beat Eggman one last time, hop into the time machine, and this time it would send him back to the present before Eggman had destroyed it. And this time Sonic would destroy the time machine before Eggman could even end up using it. And this would be the good ending to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where everything goes back to normal and Eggman has no time machine. Sadly though, time travel would never make it into Sonic 2. Sonic 2 was instead just given a typical plot, just like Sonic 1, and they ended up introducing Tails. But a lot of these time mechanics would actually go on to be featured in Sonic CD, But of course the time travel would work a lot differently in Sonic CD. Instead of time machines, there were instead time posts and the time stones Eggman was using to travel throughout time. But a lot of the aspects actually did work into Sonic CD, that being that there is a good present, an ancient past, and destroyed future. So yeah, that was my theory about how the time travel plotline would have worked in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's interesting to see how much of this was actually recycled into future Sonic products. We would see that Eggman sending Sonic into the future was actually worked into the Fleetway comic. We would see that Dust Hill would be worked into both Mirage Saloon, and it would be worked into the Sand Hill concept in Sonic Forces, and we would see that Eggman turning a forest into a casino would be worked into Casino Forest. There was a lot of ideas here that would be used later on, and I'm glad that none of the concepts here went to waste. I'm curious what you thought of this theory though. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you really like this video, hit the share button, and if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and bye.